What'd I do? Oh, no. Oh, man. Broke a shock rod. Son of a gun. I was wondering. Broke a shock rod. Slammed into that jump and broke a shock rod. So anyways, RC got a garage, and from a crash, do I think that that probably broke a little bit too easy? Yeah, actually I do. Houston, we have a problem. So this is obviously the spring from the Hobao MTX. Realistically, all this is just the upgraded spring. It's stiff, but it's not too stiff to where I think it caused a problem. And amazingly, right? So when that shock broke, when that shock end broke, and what it is it's right where the taper starts to where the threads hit. So I'm not sure, like, if the actual shock is totally different, meaning like the body of the shock looks the same, the collar looks the same, and so does obviously that top cap. But supposedly they did, I believe, some type of a coating on the shock shaft or something like that. I don't think they increased the shock shaft diameter, but I am going to find out. And amazingly, I found the bumper. So this little bumper piece had also fallen off. And it was like under the leaves next to the ramp, or should I say it was where the impact happened at that ramp. So I think the question that I've been kind of battling with myself was this warranted? Meaning, you know, I've been obviously rolling through the comments, in which I'm absolutely very happy about, because a lot of people are giving their opinion of what they saw. Now, there's a missing component. Yes, the truck did have a few battery packs through it. It went to the speed jump spot, it went to diamond dust, and literally it went to the backyard track here. I think I even drove it in my front yard. Yeah. So it really hasn't had that many packs to it. Now, could that piece had snapped off? Could it have gotten weak? Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's possible, but it's that thing when you're in the moment, and I don't know anybody, I honestly don't know anybody that, you know, detail analyzes their RC if they've had an uneventful, and I mean, what I mean by uneventful is that it doesn't appear as though there was an issue. You're not hearing anything. You're not noticing the vehicle driving any different. I don't think. I mean, I'm sure that there's, you know, some people out there that, you know, happen to do that. But so what I was going to do today, two things. I'm going to fix the shock, and I'm also going to pop out the center diff. If I remember right, I believe it's only 4 screws, and that whole center diff pops right out. Pretty good. At least I think that's what it is. I'm just literally going by memory here. 4 screws, and I believe that center diff pops out. And if I am remembering correctly, Hobao uses these spring retainer clips at the front and rear drive shafts to retain the dog bones in place. So that center diff should just drop out from the bottom. That's just, I'm trying to remember, man. I think it does. I really think it does. So anyways, today in our RC Garage, we're breaking into the MTX. And if you want, you can come along for the ride. Cornball. Come along for the ride. All right. So I really was surprised. I really was surprised that I found this little piece here. So we are going to break into this thing. I'm just going to pop this wheel off just to get it out of the way. Bumper's going to stay. I was also like analyzing things, realizing that Hobao uses a lot of the same parts, which is kind of a good thing because their bracing can be used front to back. It makes sense, and I do like that they're doing things that way. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this wheel off. I did try to smack off all the dirt that I could off of this thing, but some of the dirt still retained. But the spring is in good shape. And like I said, I did find that little compression bumper, like a jounce bumper or whatever the heck you want to call it. Something that was missing with this truck is the wheel wrench, because trying to fit one of these, which this is Arrma, trying to fit one of these Arrma ones, it's extremely difficult. You can get it, but it just doesn't, I mean, it just barely bites on. And it's basically, it's offsetting the wrench. It's kicking it at an angle because this portion right here is up against the sidewall of the tire. So Hobao actually did have an awesome wrench, which, of course, it's not in this bag. I've temporarily lost the piece. Basically, what this looks like, it looks like the old spark plug wrench that you would get like with an ATV or a quad or whatever. Some type of like under the seat emergency kind of thing where you could pop a plug, and that's basically what this kind of is. And this is actually, I mean, this is the wrong thing to use, but this has become like my go-to tool for removing most of the time the wheels if I've got it on hand, just because of the way it works. So I really crank these bad boys on. The other thing too is go ahead and use Loctite. So pop this off, throw this underneath. That is the nice thing about these massive tires, is the fact that definitely allows the vehicle to be elevated when you're working on it. So when you get a look at how they have made things and the strength that it appears that they used, there's a lot of structure and strength that goes into making these vehicles. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this shock off by removing that screw right there. I'll go ahead and bring my tools in here. And I also need this. So let's get that out of the way for now. So even these shocks are captured by a washer. So the other thing that I don't think you should have to. Some people might put a little drop of Loctite on there, but I don't think it's anything that you have to worry about. So then we'll go ahead and pop this off. So it looks like the shock has got actually a nick right there. I wonder how that happened. So just getting a look at this. So what you can see, at least I think you can see, where the shock basically starts to cut its threads or end its threads is right where this broke. So right now, kind of what I'm looking for. So I'm looking to see if it's bent in any way, and it's not. The coating actually looks like it's wearing away at the very tip here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my caliper and I'm going to measure the thickness of this shock. Trying to figure out. Shock oil is pretty thick. That could have been a component of why this snap. That is pretty thick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean this off the best of my ability right now. So I'm just trying to clean off the threads, because I want to clean this off completely. I don't want any garbage on here when I go to disassemble this thing. So I'm going to spin this collar down a little bit. Oops. Again, clean off these threads. Just don't want any contamination going in there. Okay. Alright, so it looks like this collar does have grooves in it that could hide and trap sand So there's like little grooves and everything here that's gonna capture and hide sand. So using an air compressor on this thing probably would have been the best thing to do. So just wanted to get a look at this. So I can see that there was an impact or something right there. Now granted, I didn't look this truck over, and that impact corresponds with that nick. So if this did get somehow a smack, if this did get a smack with the ramp, like there, like that somehow, I just don't see it. Yeah, maybe it did. Maybe it did. It's kind of on the back side. That means that ramp piece would had to have gone right in here perfect. But you can see there's a digger there, and there's a digger right there. Now on the spring, see if there's anything in here that says, there is a mark there. So there's a mark here and a mark there. So this is the top of the spring. Even the quality of how they make their springs, man. Flatly tapered at that bottom so it rides flat. A lot of people just don't get it, man. Hobao really does make some good quality stuff. I mean, look at the beef of this arm. It's got beef and spice. Look at the eyelet. Even look at the eyelet. The eyelet is massive. Look at how much material surrounds that eye. So this is also something that would need to be cleaned out. I'm going to move my shock out of the way. Keep all my clean pieces on a different little spot here. But look at that eyelet piece. That thing is massive. So the only way that I could potentially remove that, got no damage to the little holder. It's like a little spring holder. Kind of clips into place right there. Like that. So there's no damage to that. The only way really to get that, I'm going to try something right now. I'm going to try a flat blade and see if I can flat blade that out of there. No blood. See, I was seeing whether if I could grab the edge. Doesn't look like I can. But you can literally see, the only way I could do this is if I took my Dremel. I can't find, I've got these discs, which are great, but I can't find the center. One of my Dremels is missing, and I think that that Dremel has that piece that I need. So the one way that I could do this was if there was some way that I could kind of get in there and do that. The only other way would be to drill the smallest pilot hole and then try to put like a thread out. It's called like a screw out. But yeah, I don't think I can get that. That'd be kind of rough. All right. I'm going to pause this. I'm actually going to give this a shot. Only because I want to. I know this is going overboard, but I just want to try it. Let's see if it works. If it does, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. Kind of shouldn't because this is a hardened rod, but we'll see. And that is a no. I wanted to try, man. That is definitely, believe, that's hardened. So either my drill bit is junk, or that is just a real hardened bit. So I am going to go ahead and go after another one. All right, so here's the deal. Literally, that was a fail. So that did end up being a fail. I did try. I kind of suspected that I wasn't going to be able to do it because the assumption was in my mind that it was going to be a hardened steel. And with how I was doing things, that it probably just wasn't going to work. And the drill bits that I used were called general purpose. Not anything that would bore through, alien technology. So anyways, so here's what I did end up doing. Oh, well, that's it. Yeah, buzzed right through it. All right. It was worth a shot. And literally what it did is it walked out. I think it heated, walked out and just split the thing. Damn it. Like I said, it was worth a shot. So instead of wasting time, I did the typical thing that I usually do. And I went ahead and went over to my MT2, and I ripped off one of the front shocks. So what I did want to do is I wanted to compare the difference between the two, and from my understanding is everything exactly the same, except for the fact that they had the upgraded spring on this one. Now, I did want to kind of feel the spring rate comparison between the two, because there is the possibility that with how I like to drive, and this is a smaller truck, maybe this spring is actually the way to go, the factory original blue spring. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off and just check and see if I can feel a difference. I'm looking at the difference in height right now. There is the possibility that spring is compressed, but if you match up the springs side by side, you can see we've got almost 2.5 coils. Almost 2.5 coils, but this spring may be compressed. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop this off. This is what I like about this. This is what's called a spring retainer. It's supposed to help retain the spring into location or keep it into location. Pop this end off. It does look like this shock is leaking, but I'm not surprised. This shock did have a bumper on the bottom, so you can see that there's a little bit of leakage. Now, this is from memory. I haven't done anything with this shock. From memory, this is factory filled, and it's mint. So I'm going to just compress the two shocks, feel if I can feel a difference. I am going to go ahead and measure the two differences in the shocks. This appears to have a thicker shaft, but it's probably just the coating. And as far as it leaking down, I do kind of have to say that's kind of semi-normal, just because of for how long this truck has been sitting. It hasn't been used, so there hasn't been any actuation of anything. There is going to be a certain amount of leak down in something like this, so. But, God, what's crazy is that I know, see, this shock is old, man. This is from my MT2. It's got the wear marks from the springs. So I did want to see if there was a height comparison between the two. And there isn't. So it definitely was. Now, the coil wrap is definitely different. You have a lot more coils on this spring. And this spring has less coils, but jeez. Yeah, so you can feel a difference. You can feel, oops. You can feel a difference. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to feel the compression rate, knowing where my fingers are and the pressure that I'm feeling in my palm. This one is definitely a stiffer compression spring. For now, because this is the front, I'm going to go ahead and, believe it or not, I'm going to switch over fully to blue springs in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the orange spring that's in the front on the other side and swap it off with one of these blue ones. Because normally the front and back of the vehicle, normally the back has the higher tension or needs the higher tension because it has normally more weight. But I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go ahead and switch these springs out to the blue spring. I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch out the entire shock. That's going to make my life easy. I'm literally going to switch over to my old shocks. I don't even remember. I'm saying like I've never rebuilt this, but I really honestly don't know. So let's see. You see zeroed out. Go ahead and get a number on there. We're coming in at 4mm shaft, and most likely a 4mm shaft. Yep. So same exact shaft. There is a black coating on it. It doesn't look like the black coating. The black coating, I'm assuming what that is just to provide a smoother surface. But what I am noticing is that right at the section where I'm assuming maybe the most amount of movement would happen or occur, you can see that that coating is actually rubbed off. So I am going to go ahead and switch over to this. I'm just going to kind of clean this up just a little bit better and make sure everything is functioning, everything is tight. As far as the shock compression feels, I hear no bubbles, and I can see that that rebound is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this shock as is, install this spring, and move on. And basically take the I'm going to take the shock off of the other side and fit it with the ones from the other truck. We'll see how that works. Oh yeah, I said I was going to do like a comparison. So we do have the bleeder hole. There is a bleeder hole. You can see that the anodizing on this is just a slightly different anodizing, but it also has a ribbed section that goes around this top, which just might aid in taking this apart. You can see here, I definitely did take this apart. You can see a scrape right there. So I did service this shock at some point. So as far as the collar appears to be exactly the same. The eyelet itself, the new eyelet is bigger. Has more material surrounding. Dang. So the new eyelet has more material surrounding. Zeroed out. I'm going to measure this eyelet from edge to edge at its... see, I have to do it sideways. So 11.44, so that means this one shouldn't be able to drop. Look at that. There is a big difference. Almost 13. 12.89. So they definitely made an improvement on the eyelet itself. Granted, I haven't broken mine, but they did make an improvement. I wonder if I did break one at one point. Because it seems like there wouldn't be a reason to change or modify that. The profile looks like the ball is the same ball. So let's see. Is the ball the same ball? Coming in at 546. It's saying that it is. Just by the way, I'm looking at this. 546. Same exact ball. So they did increase the material around this section. And I don't know if that's a good thing, man. I wonder, is that a good thing? Is it possible that this coating process may have weakened that little area, or was it literally just my fault? All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and just make sure things are tight here and install this shock into the truck. And then bam, just like that, we have two brand new shocks, or should I say brand used shocks, ready to go ahead and throw on the MTX. These are literally takeoffs from my MT Plus 2. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and toss these babies on. The eyelets on these are obviously the same. The upgraded one definitely comes on the new truck with an upgraded spring and a slightly different styled cap. That's the only thing that I can see. Oh, and obviously you've got the coating on the shaft, which, I don't know, man. One thing I think I would consider, or at least think about, one possible thing that I think you might want to consider or think about is getting some type of shock protection maybe for the rear. And if you're getting it for the rear, you might as well also get it for the front. They have those little shock condoms that I call them, whatever they are, little nylons that you can put for shocks. And what it does is, obviously, you know, what it does is it just prevents material from getting onto that shock shaft, getting inside the spring where the spring is constantly moving up and down. I do feel that those shock protectors, or whatever you want to call those things, something that encapsulates the actual shock, I do feel like that's probably something beneficial. Probably is maintenance involved with that too, because fine grit and materials probably can bypass it, and then usually you have the hole on the bottom which stuff can enter in. You'd still have to, or at least you should want to or desire to do maintenance on certain things, and that is definitely something that I'm lacking in. But what I will tell you though, the way I treat my stuff, isn't that kind of accelerated abusage or usage, however you want to look at it. It's the way I kind of look at it, man. Is it beneficial for me? No, because it kills my pocket. But is it beneficial to you? Yeah, guy. Because think about it. Everything that I'm putting my RCs through, neglect, abuse, leaving it out to die. I mean, come on. I've left vehicles outside in the rain, not on purpose, but I've left vehicles outside in the rain because I'm testing the, how do we say it? The waterproofness or water resistance of the vehicle. So it's really not the case. It's just I got too many things going on, and sometimes I just don't care nothing about nothing. But anyways, I am switching over, at least on the front, just switching over to the Hobao MT Hyper 2 shocks. Basically, it's just a shock swap out. Effectively, they're the same thing. Small little differences, caps, eyelets, and then the springs, a coating, even the little bumper. So even the little bumper that's on here is the same. Mine's a darker color, but it's the same exact little bumper here. It looks like a little Lego piece, and it's amazing that I found that. I didn't record finding that. I found, dude, think about it. Look how small that is. Look how small that is, man. And then with leaves. And I found that little stinking thing. So let's get these shocks installed. And then, like I said, this was also popping out that center diff. You know what? Should I leave the center diff as another video? Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to leave the center diff as another video because it'll be taking out the center diff. So all this is about shocks. Corn bag. Corn bag. All right. We're all set here. I'm going to go ahead and just put this stuff in a Ziploc bag for now, just so that things kind of like stay together, because if I don't, I'm going to lose everything, and then that's going to be a bad scenario. Because if I don't, I know I'll end up like losing stuff, and that's definitely going to be a bad scenario. So for now, I'm just going to place it over to the left-hand side on a paper towel, put the truck up here, and then I'll take off that other shock. All right. I can't appreciate the fact that they did make an attempt to protect kind of this area, but I also don't agree because this is tilted back, and I have a problem with this. Because this is tilted back, what it's doing is it's not allowing the body to sit flat on these pins. So this piece right here is the same exact as the one in the back. So the one that's in the back right there, these two are the same. So while in the back, it has a tendency to sit flat, on the front, it doesn't. And you can actually see blue paint on the leading edge here. So this almost needs like some type of a, I think they used to call them body savers. You put a body saver here, and what it does is just gives a slight layer of cushion around this area right here to prevent that from happening. And the way that you can do that is you can take some foam, cut off a little piece, cut a hole in the middle, and then basically just kind of fit it over on top. The other thing that I would say is probably a necessary thing is to be able to fit foam on here. When you look at the body has obviously the hood. The hood isn't completely flat, but it's flat enough to where you just need to realize that this is pitched at an angle, that your piece of foam needs to also kind of be like at an angle. Now, this is where I'll talk about OVONIC. All right. I like messing around with that. So last time I drove this truck, one of the things that I did come across was the fact that the battery pack that I ran in here, these are, yeah, the batteries are still in the truck. Hold on for a second. Let me take the battery out here. Hear nothing, see nothing. This is one of those instances of hear nothing, see nothing. So you can see I've got an OVONIC pack in here. This is a 6,000 milliamp 3S pack, and it is a 100C pack. Now, knowing that I've got this truck, right? Knowing that I've got this truck, OVONICs are the battery that are, how do I say it? I have had less problems with OVONIC, and I've been using them consistently for a very long time now. And is any battery company perfect? No, they're not. I did go ahead and I grabbed some 6700 120C packs. Now, these are brand new to the market. OVONIC is definitely trying to really break into, you can see that the seal is not broken on this. OVONIC is really trying to break into this market of creating better products. So, inside of the box, so here you go. Inside of the box, you go ahead and you get your little OVONIC, it's kind of like a operating instructions sheet. Have I ever looked at it? No. Then inside there, you got 2 OVONIC stickers. And then here's the battery pack. Now, this is something that I actually like about OVONIC. Now, you look at the size of the battery, the box, and you're like, man, that's a lot of box for a small battery. Well, OVONIC is trying to be reasonable with their company, and it's a tough call because the size of the box, there's a lot more box than there is product, but if they're providing batteries in one box and one box only, I think the thought is, I forgot to take the foam out. I think the thought is they're trying to save on materials and keep costs down, which translates normally to keeping costs down for us. But what I did want to show you was this is something that I have actually appreciated with OVONIC. They give you foam. Now, the foam is obviously used to cushion the battery inside of the box to keep it kind of protected. But here's the good thing, though. What do we need for this truck? We need some foam for the truck to protect certain areas. Now, I've also used this foam on some of the Arrma plastic chassis vehicles to prevent the battery from destroying the chassis if you're using a hard pack. The foam definitely helps. You can find places to use this. I've got a bag, a big gallon Ziploc bag full of these foam things, literally from OVONIC. So they give you something that's actually useful. So we're going to use some of this foam on the truck. How am I going to stick it on there? I don't know. I don't really have a glue to use. I should get like some kind of glue that can use the foam, because you can't use tire glue because it just doesn't work, and you can't use super glue. You got to use like some kind of like a, maybe I'll use like an RTV. I'll get some gasket maker and go ahead and smear some gasket maker on there. But OVONIC does give you this. But inside of this anyway, what I wanted to show you was this is the OVONIC Rebel Series 120C 6700 milliamp 3S pack. Now, to let you know, now if you're one of the ones that are watching this channel right now, I'm also getting, relatively soon, an OVONIC 6700 4S pack. Now, why would I be getting that? But anyways, you can definitely see the capacity size, a little bit different. We've got more capacity in this battery. So it's a 6700 milliamp at 120C versus a 6000 milliamp at 100C. I am going to take this thing back to Diamond Dust because I know what I got for a speed, and I just wanted to check, what is this battery going to do for me over at Diamond Dust? What's going to be my longevity? What's going to be my runtime running this particular pack? 120C. It's going to be able to provide that punch or that kick just a little bit better than maybe the 100C pack. But it's the 700 milliamp of extra juice, but is the 120 going to kind of cut that? It's kind of like something I'm really curious about. Yeah. 6700 4S pack coming, baby. I wonder why. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and I do have to charge these batteries, so I haven't even charged these up. I am going to use this right here, and I am going to go ahead and use this right here. This is the OVONIC X1 charger right there. OVONIC X1. So I'm going to use this charger and go ahead and charge up the new batteries and see how it goes. pop off this shock. I realize sometimes having my computer screen right there with nasty tires is not a good, smart thing. Nasty tires. So it is a 2.0 to go ahead and get this screw off. Sometimes sometimes you do need something to stop that from spinning, but it looks like this is fine. And I think maybe what I did is I caused the issue by using thread lock. So pop this off. I'm going to go ahead and while I'm here, I realize that that's not even in there. Oh no. Does that mean I literally lost that screw? Oh, guy, what the heck, man? All right, well, yeah, I found it. Guy, killing me here, guy. All right, 2.5 for the bottom. Here's something that I wanted you to see right away. So what did you see that happened once I released that? That the suspension arm was allowed to come down. So what that means is that the shock shaft itself, they're relying on the valve or the top of the piston. You can call it a piston, but I call it a valve. They're relying on that top of the piston that has the valved holes in it to stop this from overextending. Now you can see it overextends. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop this out real quick. That is pretty stiff. I think having this here, I think having these ones for the front are probably going to be better. So what that potentially means is, man, I wish I could lower something I'm looking at here. I mean, something I'm looking at here. You see this towel? Can that be flopped? I wonder if that can be flopped. Kind of doesn't seem like I can. Nope. The way it's machined, you can't. Ah, that would have been kind of cool, though. Yeah. The way it's machined, you can't just flip it. Because it's not going to make a difference where its location is. So if I flip it, it's actually worse. That's funny, they do have other holes though. What's the point of that? I wonder if they do have a tower drop brace. You know what I'm saying? Like if they've got, because this is one piece, and that's pretty stout, man. Because they have this as one piece, is it possible to be able to drop that? Like if they have a straightened out piece to go across, or something that has these ears kicked down. Now I think if I move that out, I don't think that's going to really provide anything different other than keeping the shock slightly more linear. See if the back one's the same. The back one is exactly the same as the front. So I believe, for what I think I'm seeing, the towers, I think, are the same exact. It looks real close, man. These towers do look like they're the same exact piece. It's this front and back piece that's slightly different. The front piece obviously is tilted, connects differently because it connects to the top of the servo top bracket thing there that connects from the servo to the chassis to the differential case. All right, so that was kind of a waste of time. I'm just going to put this back. Right, we get the shock tower back on. We get the screws secure in the original shock tower mount. Now it's inside the brace. Got our top body mount and kind of like a shock cap top protection kind of deal. I'm going to go ahead and now install the shocks. So I'm going to put the bleeder section towards the rear. I mean, it's only just because it's what I'm visually seeing right now. Not that because you can kind of twist this, but I'm going to put that bleeder section to the rear. I am going to go ahead and when I install this section here, I'm going to make sure that this little spring retainer piece is towards the inside. That's just something that I am choosing to do for myself. Same thing for the other side. The bleeder is actually located on the side right there, so I'm just going to twist that to the back. And why am I doing that? I don't know. I just, for some reason, I feel like it's more protected. Same thing with this. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that spring and slide that into position. I am noticing something odd here. And it shouldn't be a difference, but for some reason it seems like the droop is slightly different from the other shock, and it shouldn't be, because it's basically the same exact thing. It does drop down a little bit, but just doesn't seem like it's the same. So just like that, I have to crank it on. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on these shock top eyelet retainer screws. They do have a washer on there, and that is purposeful. That is a it's a 2.0, not a 1.5. Give that a crank. And then the same thing for the other side. All right. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go out and finish draining these packs. So I'm just going to give this a quick little run. And at least we'll see if I seem to notice any difference just driving with the front shocks being changed over to the originals. Okay, I'm going to put the wheel on. The other thing I was thinking about potentially swapping out these wheels too. So obviously there's a number of options of wheels they have. I feel like these are going to be too small. These are the Red Cat Racing Kaijus. I just feel like those are going to be too small for what this is. But I may try it. I do also have these right here. These are the Copperhead 2s. So I may switch these on just to see if... The only thing is that the offset, and there is a slight bit of rub, it seems like. Maybe. Yeah, see what it is the difference between where the hub location is in these two wheels. With this wheel, it would need a hub extender because it tightens up the truck too much. Yeah. See the difference front to back? See how it tightens up the truck a huge amount? That's basically how much it just tightened up the truck. It's like now the wheel is lined up with that right there, so that's probably going to be a no-go. That's probably going to be a no-go with that because there is rub. It's ever so slight. And ever so slight on the front as well. I might give it a shot just to see what it feels like. Just to see what it feels like. So I'm going to go ahead and toss these bad boys back on. Huge size difference when you look at these top. I mean, I say a huge size difference because it is. I mean, look at this thing. This thing looks like an X-Max tire compared to this thing. X-Max? What the heck is an X-Max? Oh, yeah. Something that I'm finally going to fix. All right. I would recommend putting on some type of a thread lock because these do have a tendency to want to be able to, I mean, these don't, but so far, but wheel nuts do have a tendency to kind of pop off, and at least if you put some kind of a thread lock on there, it's just going to aid in, keeping those wheels kind of in place, so. So there we go. All right, I'm going to take this thing out for rip, expend the rest of these battery packs. So that is pretty much where this ends. The next video on this truck is going to be me after I take it out just now. After I take it out, I'm going to bring it back in, and I'm going to go ahead and tear apart the differential because I just want to burn out what's left in this pack. And I think taking it out maybe to my front yard will kind of like clean off some of the... It'll clean off some of the dirt that's kind of on this truck that I never washed off. So anyways, this is RC Guy Garage. It's very minute or minor changes between the shocks. The eyelets are different. You have more beef and spice on the new eyelets on the new truck on the MTX. Is it necessary? Gotta tell you, I can't remember breaking a lower eyelet. On the shock cap, that's a definite positive because the old shock cap was completely smooth, which meant when you grabbed it with something to try to open up the shock and service the shocks, it made it so that it was definitely harder because you were definitely scraping off that material off of the top of the shocks. The other difference is obviously the upgraded spring, but that spring, I don't know if that's necessarily an upgrade for a truck that's technically lighter. This truck is lighter, I think, and shorter, should be lighter than the old truck. It's essentially the same thing with smaller tires. So this new truck has smaller tires from the MT2 that this is kind of not replacing. There's nothing that replaces it. This is just a different kind of setup on a truck. So I don't know if having those orange springs on the front at least are a benefit or not. They might not be. It might give this truck just a little bit more suppleness and movement. So yeah, I'm going to take this thing out, rip it up a little bit. What else was different? Oh, the coating on the shock shaft. I don't know anything about the internals of the shock itself, whether if they've changed anything on the inside. You can see right now, it's just going to be rocking the MT Hyper 2 takeoffs from my truck are on this thing now. And we'll see if they work. So, yeah, let's just go outside.